Well, friends, even as we move closer to a second Trump presidential term, and even as we will have to contend with the possibility of Donald Trump pardoning the folks that he sent to the U.S. Capitol on January 6th to stop the certification of Joe Biden's election win, even as those dark clouds gather, January 6th defendants continue to be sentenced for their crimes, and federal judges continue to highlight the ongoing danger to our democracy. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, 4 more J6 defendants, de facto insurrectionists, were sentenced on Friday. And the federal court judges in Washington, D.C. continue to sound alarm bells. Let's start with the new reporting. This from NBC News. Reagan-appointed judge stresses lasting impact of January 6th while sentencing rioters, banking on Trump pardons. And that article begins, a federal judge appointed to the bench by President Ronald Reagan said Friday that the public discourse about the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol and the cases against Donald Trump supporters prosecuted because they committed crimes in support of the once and future president had been distorted. U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth said Friday that while the events of January 6th may be a distant, hazy memory for many Americans, there were many who suffered that day who never forget the attack. Emphasizing that truth and justice, law and order are bedrock principles of the judicial system, Judge Lamberth said that the jurors who heard the cases know how perilously close we came to letting the peaceful transfer of power, that great cornerstone of the American Republican experiment and perhaps our foremost contribution to posterity, slip away from us. Judge Lamberth, who previously said the preposterous claims Republican politicians were making about the Capitol attack could presage further danger to our country, made his comments during the sentencing of a particular January 6th defendant. Quote, the bedrock assumption of our judicial system is that truth and justice, law and order are values of paramount importance and are worth protecting even at great expense, Judge Lamberth said. This proceeding and others like it show that our system of justice is always working, no matter the political winds of the day. That is a message worth sending. Having read dozens of indictments related to January 6th, I can say confidently, nobody has been prosecuted for protected First Amendment activity. Nobody is being held hostage. Nobody has been made a prisoner of conscience. Every rioter is in the situation he or she is in because he or she broke the law, and for no other reason, Judge Lamberth said. So friends, I know Judge Royce Lamberth, the judge quoted in that article. I practiced before Judge Lamberth. In fact, Judge Lamberth presided over a 6-month-long RICO trial I prosecuted. So I spent a lot of quality time in that courtroom with Judge Lamberth. And let me tell you, he is one hell of a judge. And we should all take his words, his sentiments, his observations deadly seriously. Let's turn to what some of the other federal court judges in Washington, D.C. said on Friday when they were sentencing January 6th defendants. This from Politico. Judges push back as Trump's return sparks defiance from January 6th defendants. Federal judges in Washington, D.C. have spent 4 years sounding alarms about the extremism and misinformation that fueled a Donald Trump-supporting mob to attack the Capitol. On Friday, at 4 sentencing hearings, judges appointed by presidents of both parties wrestled with their warnings about the fragility of democracy while bracing for Trump to make good on his promise to pardon many of those they say perpetrated one of the greatest domestic threats in American history. Quote, "The lie that the 2020 election was stolen is still being disseminated," said U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson, who also excoriated efforts by some of the January 6 defenders to label the perpetrators hostages or victims of an abusive government. Judge Jackson didn't mention Trump by name, but said storming the Capitol at the direction of a disappointed candidate was the definition of tyranny and authoritarianism. This from another judge, quote, "We are now living in a time where people's attention spans are short. It's easy to forget about the past," said U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta during another Friday sentencing. Quote, "This is not the past that ought to be forgotten." And friends, this next passage is disturbing. For many January 6 defendants and their allies, the judge's admonitions are increasingly falling flat. Many of them, the J6 defendants, emboldened by Trump's rise, openly shrug the warnings off. Defendants are showing defiance and confidence that Trump will soon swoop in to spare them any prison time. Friends, you've heard Donald Trump pledge love and pardons for the January 6th defendants, for the insurrectionists, for the folks who attacked the men and women of law enforcement, like Harry Dunn, Mike Fanone, Aquilino Gonell, Daniel Hodges, Caroline Edwards, and so many more. 140 police officers in all were attacked by Donald Trump's angry mob, the mob he sent to the Capitol to stop the steal, stop the certification of Joe Biden's election win, and try to keep Donald Trump in the power of the presidency unlawfully and unconstitutionally through violence. Pledged love and pardons to those people. As we approach the January 6th anniversary, as we approach January 20th, pardons should never be given to those people. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.